Ryan, one of the quickest turnarounds I can ever remember in recent history on this podcast. And you told me, Phil, we have a video almost every day. So I better be on my A game. I know that you always are. We will get started, Ryan. The UConn Huskies have a matchup tomorrow, and that would be against the Xavier Musketeers. Ryan, what do you have?
Well, we already know Caroline's going to miss this game out at least 2 games due to the concussion she suffered in practice on Monday. Didn't travel with the team. I'm not sure if AZ is going to play or Gino will coach in this game. We're kind of recording this kind of early on Wednesday morning before the game, so I'm sure
Yeah.
a lot of the news is going to come out Thursday before the game. But uh, uh, probably not receive any news until Thursday afternoon. But Xavier Musketeer is going through a little bit of a rough patch right now. Sitting at 7-7 on the season, have lost 6 out of the last 7 games, only winning 1 in the month of December. And they're 0-5 in Big East play, so looking to turn something around, looking to start the new year off with a fresh start, which is pretty unlikely to happen against the UConn
Yeah.
Huskies. But Melanie Moore, in her 4th year as the head coach for Xavier, only won 17 games under her rule, but definitely their best start under her this season. But led by guards Michaela Scarlett and Shelby Calhoun, senior guard Taylor Smith is a transfer from Ole Miss. Forwards Courtney Pringer and Ania Harris round out the starting 5. Off the bench, guards June Ruiz, Kasaya Woods, and Kayla Addy. Also forward Neela Blackford. Now, Xavier has also used a 4-guard lineup before, but I would assume they would use 2 forwards against UConn to try to compete with their size. But through this losing streak, Xavier scored around 50 points, couple games with 60. Guards definitely not afraid to shoot the threes, so we might see a lot of 3-point shots in this game. But I think, I would expect this to be a pretty easy game for UConn yet again. Big East teams, we've come to find out through the past 2 weeks, just not quite at UConn's level yet.
Yeah, you said it. Actually, one of the things that I was thinking about before coming on with you this morning was the fact of whether Gino will coach or not, and we'll just sit back and sometimes, or in this case, probably. Well, Phil, why does that matter? Oh, it matters. It matters a lot, and that's what I had my eye on in this game. Actually, I always focus on we always focus on the roster so much, the players, but I'm actually interested to see if Gino returns for this game. Because I know that you love him, I love him, and we all love him. So again, we want to wish him nothing but the best, and I'm just curious what happens as far as the coaching staff goes tomorrow night. I can't wait to see Ryan. But yes, a lot of talent on this roster. But again, you said it right. As far as Xavier goes, they're struggling. They're struggling a lot because they just dropped again to the Villanova team 77-49 all over Xavier. Right now, I think there's not much more to say, and we'll go to the comment section. And this is actually a good sign when when you don't have anything much else to say, and I don't, as far as last check-ins, because I guess that's a definitely a for sure sign that, hey, Phil, I mean, it's about a 90% chance of getting that W already.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, the Big East play so far hasn't really been I mean, the Marquette game was pretty tough. Marquette put up a good fight. We were expecting a good fight from Creighton as well. They've had an amazing season so far, but
Yeah.
UConn went in there shorthanded and really took the souls out of the Blue Jays. But I think whether Gino coaches or not, it's obviously a big deal that he's already missed 3 games due to an illness or him not feeling well. So, speaking just about his health, hopefully everything's okay with his health and we're not starting to see a decline. But he can't coach the UConn Huskies for forever, unfortunately. But luckily, Chris Daly has been there just as long as Gino has. 16-0, filling in for Gino. So definitely not losing a whole lot, switching from Gino to Chris Daly. Luckily, Chris Daly just knows the system just as well as Gino does. And having Morgan Valley and Jamil Elliott as the assistant coaches, it's pretty much having three head coaches as assistant coaches there on the bench. So speaking about that, UConn Huskies are in pretty good hands.
And you look, they have some senior guards, Ryan, Taylor Smith, Nyla Blackford, Shayla Beeler. So I was getting ready to tell you, I was like, well, this Xavier team is not stacked with seniors and experience. It was the word I'm thinking about. But now it started to scroll up at the top of the roster, and I'm like, oh, I might want to think about that again, because I saw Courtney Prenger. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And then you had Michaela Hayes, a graduate student, the center, 6'3". So a lot of talent, if you will. And I think it just comes down to how head coach Melanie Moore, their playing style, because I didn't check out a lot of highlights yet of the Musketeers, but I think it's all to do with how their playing style goes, especially offense. But look for that defense to show up as far as stacking the inside of the paint for UConn, because there's a lot of size with the Xavier team.
Yeah, and I think for most of these teams, they try to shoot the three ball against UConn. Creighton tried to do it
Yeah,
a lot.
they don't want anything to do with driving it inside.
No, but with
No.
with the Leah Edwards and Dorka
Yeah.
Juhas down there, it's tough for a lot of teams to try to drive the ball.
Yeah.
And of course, it's hard to get inside with Nika Mule guarding
Yeah.
you. Aubrey Griffin's a pretty good defender as well. But we've seen it with Creighton and Butler trying to shoot the three ball. Hasn't really worked out well for them. I think UConn's definitely getting better with their perimeter defense. They struggled a lot with Maryland. Maryland's a very good three-point shooting team, and I think they learned a lot from that game, taking that loss, and improved their three-point shooting a lot against Creighton and Butler. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be tough for Xavier and for a lot of these Big East teams to try to get the ball inside with Aaliyah Edwards and Dorka Juhas. And also Ayanna Patterson coming off the bench. She's a big body down there and a great defender as well.
All right. Iva goes, Aaliyah's on another level this season. Nika always pushing the tempo and directing the Huskies. Nice to see that. CD in this games that she replaced Gino did find some minutes to give Nika a breather.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't bring that up last night, but I thought that was kind of interesting that Ines, Amari, and the subs and Ayana as well. The three subs off the bench got a lot of minutes, and I'm just kind of wondering if that's Chris Daly and what she thinks should happen during the games. I don't know if Gino told Chris to bring the subs in before the game, or that's how he wanted the game to be run. But I did think that was kind of interesting that we saw Amari and Ines get a lot more minutes than what they normally do when Gino is coaching the team like he normally is. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. But I just think for Amari, I think we talked about that a lot. She kind of looks lost out there. So I think when Gino comes back to coaching the team again, I don't really expect Amari to get a lot of minutes, but it definitely is good to see Ines out there. Ayana's a really good player. We talked about her a lot with her rebounding and defense. So yeah, I mean, it's good to see the subs letting the starters get some rest.
One more, Gene Morris. Think back early in the season. I told you that Aubrey Griffin was a big time athlete, and she proves that in every game that she plays in. She is a true pleasure to watch. She is so fast and an accomplished jumper. Remember, she was a hurdler in high school.
Well, yeah, that's pretty obvious with the way that she's able to jump and kind of soar to the rim for those layups. But she's a terrific player. She's been pretty solid for UConn all year long, filling into the starting lineup for Caroline when Dorka went out as well. So she's been just a really good piece that Gino's kind of been moving around. And Aubrey looks comfortable, really comfortable with all the teammates and fitting into this UConn system. Obviously, with her missing the whole season last year with that back injury, had back surgery, and you can't really tell that she would have had an operation like that, or any type of injury like that with just the way that she's played all season long. So I think Aubrey's another key player that's going to be pretty crucial for UConn going into March Madness.
All right, Ryan. Connecticut, Xavier. We'll be back right here. Estimated time 9:30, like always. Tip off 7 o'clock. And Ryan, I know you're looking forward to actually the next 3 games you told me, because to cap it off with the games you're looking forward to, we'll go 3 in a row. Xavier, DePaul, and number 24, St. John's. Oh my! Because correct me if I'm wrong. Now, we don't want to get anybody upset, anybody mad, get in their feelings. You told me, you can tell me right now while this is recording on air, tell me if I'm wrong. You love close ball games.
Well, I think we all do. It gets kind of. I think it gets kind of boring after a while with UConn blowing all these teams out. But I do think the St. John's team should be kind of interesting. It's a road game. St. John's only ranked 24th, but they are sitting at 13-0 currently. It would be interesting going into St. John's to an undefeated team. Big East matchup. I do kind of expect that that game to be relatively close, so it definitely should be an interesting matchup.
I almost forgot predictions for tomorrow night. I'll go Leah Edwards again, MVP. Ryan, in this one, I'm going UConn all over Xavier. 90 to 55. 90 to 55, just an absolute tear. A game that one of the best games, I think, that we have seen this year so far from UConn as far as scoring goes. And I think they moved the ball around a lot. I think, obviously, not many players on the roster for UConn as they are struggling with the injuries. But I think that no matter if AZ Flood comes back or not, the offense finds a spark. And then also Xavier just I think they really struggle from downtown and obviously, you already discussed it, driving the ball inside the paint. I think this is a tough one for Xavier. I'm going 90 to 55, UConn.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think it's going to be similar to the Butler game, just like Butler. I think Xavier is just going to have a hard time in general to score on offense. But, if they come out and start shooting threes, and getting some lucky shots in there, we could see a close game going into the second half. But I don't really expect this game to be close. I'm going to go 88-49 UConn. I think it's going to be another blowout, 40-point win for UConn. I'm gonna switch it up and go Lou Lopez Seneschal to win the MVP. Maybe she starts heating up on offense again and hitting some threes.
All right. The UConn Huskies are knocking on the door. And head coach Melanie Moore, why not let them in? Phil and Rye on Listen Up.